Electron model samples for about a month now. I'm going to show you how to make the drum and bass loop that I just showed you. Hopefully a few tips and tricks along the way. Let's start a new project. We have about a dozen new projects in there. Let's choose another one, load that up. Now, the first thing that I like to do when I start a new project is change the velocity of these pads. So let's go up to the pad menu and change the fix to about 110. It doesn't really matter. And now, great, we can hear stuff fairly easily. I like to build my tracks from the hi-hats on track 3. So select track 3, press the wave button. I hold and press the back button to get to the pool folder. All of the samples that we're using today are on the machine as default. The hi-hat is in factory, then miscellaneous, drums, and we're looking for hi-hat heavy, which is, wow, there. Good. Right, now we've got the hi-hat. Let's punch that in straight away. Okay, sounds pretty weak, but that's fine for now. Let's put a snare on. So once again, we come to the pool folder, down to factory, miscellaneous, drums, and the snare is SD bottom, I think. SD bottom, that's great. By the way, you can change to any tracks by holding track button and pressing the track number. Now we're going to assign our kick, which is in pool factory drums this time, and it's in the energy folder, and it's called BD carry. There it is. Let's come out. So now kick, snare, hi-hat. We've got a few hi-hats punched in. Let's punch in the snare on the 5 and the 13 and listen to that. The first thing you notice is that's way too slow for drum and bass. Let's go up to the tempo and raise it up. You can listen to it coming in. Yeah, sounds a bit better. Let's add a kick on the 1 and the 11. And we have a basic drum and bass beat, but it's way out of whack. For a start, the hi-hats are way too loud. So let's bring that down to about 33%. And now I want to focus on those hi-hats and fill them out. Mute the snare and the kick by holding function and hitting track 1 and track 2. And fill out the hi-hats. Put an extra hi-hat in on 2 and change the velocity to 33. I'm also going to use the chant style to give it a percentage chance of failing or not playing. More often than not, I want it to hit, so I'm putting it up to 94%. And now I can copy that trigger and start to paste it in where I want in the tune. So I'm going to paste it in on 3, I'm going to paste it in on 7 and 8, 10 and 11 and 14, 15 and 16. Now we've got something a bit more like it. Let's turn our attention to the snare and bring that back in so that we can listen to it. Let's make the snares more interesting. I'm going to punch in 1 on 3. Let's bring the velocity of this one down and turn it into what's called a ghost snare. So this is a snare with a lesser volume, and it starts to give some funk to our snare pattern. I'm going to copy this No, in fact, before I do that, I'm going to give that also a chance of failing. Only a small one. Let's bring it up to 94% chance. And now I can copy this and I can hit it into 7 and 10. Good. So now the snare drum is a little bit more interesting. We can do a few more of these. Let's copy this again, and I'm going to put one on 14. But here, instead of giving it a chance of failing, I'm going to give it a condition, and I'm going to tell it to play the second of every second loop. The second of every second loop? The second time, every time the loop goes around. Yeah, so 2 out of 2. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put one at the start of the pan as well. This one I only want to play once every 4 loops, and I want it to play the last one. So bring it up to 4/4. We've got a ghost snare that only plays once in every 4 at the end. We've got a ghost snare that plays once every 2 loops on the end of that. Nice, sounds good. Let's bring back the hi-hats and let's punch in a kick. Let's shape the sound of the hi-hats by using all of these guys up here. First thing I want to do is to bring the decay right down, so we've got a really snappy little hi-hat. I like to use cutoff way too much because I don't really know what it does, but it softens the sound quite a lot in my head. A little trick is that you can never have too much delay, so I'm going to add delay up to 25 on these hi-hats, and you'll start to see that come in the sound, and also reverb, because I'm addicted to it. I'm going to add 25 on the reverb, and I'm happy with that. Let's shape the sound of the snare drum. Bring the decay up to about 75. Once again, I'm going to bring the cutoff down to about 5, but I'm going to give it a little bit of resonance up to 15. Now I'm going to add some delay. Same as the hi-hats, we'll put it at 25. And this is where the sound gets quite nice. You can hear that in the background now. We'll also add some reverb because it's obligatory. And I think we're done. I think the snare sounds great. Bring the hi-hat back in. Yeah, sounds good. Let's have a look at the kick. And let's make it a little bit more interesting. So kick, currently we've just got these 2 kicks, but I think we can add something a bit more. I'm going to put another beat on 14, but I don't want it to play all the time, so I'm going to give it a condition of 2 out of 2. So it plays the second time of every 2 loops. Copy that, and I'm going to put one at the start. I like the double kick here. Let's paste this in and move the condition to the second of every 4 loops. Good. I'm going to copy that and put one more in, so we get a little double kick at the end here. And I'm going to put that so it just plays once at the end of every 4th loop. Good. But we need to shape this sound so that it fits with our groove a little bit better. I want a big fat bass drum, doesn't everyone? Again, I don't really know what I'm doing with cutoff, but I'm taking the low end out here by turning it anti-clockwise. I'm taking the low end out. I only want a tiny bit of delay because I don't want it ricocheting off everywhere, but I am going to give it some reverb because I love it. And now I'm going to add a lot of distortion. Put that at about 95. Great. Now this is getting there. I'd say that we can look at some volumes. We can bring the hi-hat down to about 33%. Let's say the volume of the snare needs to come down to about 55%. And the kick drum, I'd say just a tiny bit less. Also, I'm going to bring the pitch of the kick drum down to minus 0.5, and I'm going to bring the pitch of the hi-hat down ever so slightly to minus 0.3. Sounds good. Let's change one more thing with the hi-hats. Let's add an LFO. Jump into the LFO page, setup page, I think. And let's choose the waviest of wave. This one, whatever it's called. And we're going to set the destination of the LFO to this guy down here. And you can see the light moving across. It's a dist, which is volume and distortion, I guess. And we just want to add a little bit of depth to that. Let's bring it up to 5. And effectively what that is doing, or what I feel that that is doing, is an LFO is like a tiny little hand which is automatically adjusting the volume of those hi-hats as it moves through the loop. And that gives it something a little extra. So I'm happy with the drums so far, but it wouldn't be drum and bass without a bass line. So let's put a bass line in. Thankfully, I found a pretty fun sound, which is also in the factory settings. I'm trying to think where the blooming thing is. Yeah, there it is. It's in factory miscellaneous melodic, and the sound that we're looking for is called BS Dupe. There she be. So let's come out and before we do anything, let's shape that sound a little bit. We can add quite a lot of decay. In fact, no, I don't think we need to do that. Let's just bring it up to 65. Again, I'm going to put cutoff to -5 just to soften the low end a little bit. Delay, we're going to have tons of delay on this. Put it up to 45. We'll bring reverb up to 30. Nice, we're starting to get there. I'm going to add a lot of distortion once again, so bring this up to 95. Yeah, getting it sounding proper dirty now. And I think we're quite happy with that. I think once again, let's add an LFO. Let's go to the waviest of waves. Add a destination. This time we're going to use pitch. And we just want this LFO to cut through the sound and morph it a little bit. So let's see. Okay, that doesn't sound quite right. That's because we need to change the multiplier. And again, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I found that I put it on 1000 and it just cuts through that sound super, super quickly, distorting the pitch, giving it, again, a slightly rougher sound. So I quite like that effect. Let's keep that for now. And let's punch it into our track. Let's see what this sounds like. Okay, not bad, but I think this could be a little bit lower. So let's hold on 1 and go through to the tone or the key, I'm not really sure what it's called. Bring it down to B4. Yeah, it's a bit more like it. So we're getting there, but we need to add a little bit more interest to it. Let's take this trigger and let's add a few more in. We'll put 1 on 3, but I don't want it to play every time, and I don't want it to be the same. I'm going to bring this up to D sharp, D sharp. Yeah, that's the sort of thing I want. Let's copy this. Let's put another one of those in at 7. Sounds good. And we'll paste another one of those in at 11. But this one's gonna come back down a notch. Great. And we don't want all of these playing all the time, so I'm gonna put them all on 4 out of 4, so they just play at the last loop out of every 4. And what I should have done is copy this, paste it over. Those two are exactly the same. Copy and paste, and bring this one back to D5. So let's have a listen. Bingo. Alrighty. So that's pretty much our track, or our loop, built, and now we can start to play around with it a bit. But the loop that I showed you at the beginning of the video had 2 extra tracks in here, and I'm going to show you how I built those now. First, let's take the hi-hats. By holding on track and pressing copy, you can actually copy that track. And we go over to 5 and we do the same thing, track and paste. We've now pasted the hi-hat over here. We need to bring the volume down because it is way too high. I'm going to bring that volume down to about 25%, I think. And also I need to punch in a pattern. There's nothing there quite yet. Let's put it on the backbeat. I think it's called the backbeat. Why is there nothing there? Function, there we go. You can hear that. So we've got some hi-hats in the back. I'm going to put some on 3 and 4, but these, again, I'm going to soften by bringing them down to about 33. Tug. Right, let's copy, and no, in fact, do the old trick of giving it a chance of failing. So this time I'm going to put it at about 91. So let's copy that and paste it into 3 and 4. Paste it into 6 and 8, 11, and also 14, 15, and 16. So now our little hi-hat filler has a slightly different pattern to our original hi-hats. And another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the tone of that by holding function and track menu. If you come down, you can actually change the key of the pad, and I want to bring that down to G sharp. Now, it sounds a bit different from our original one. It has a slightly different pattern to it as well. Okay, now for the snares. Let's copy that track. Let's go to track 6 and let's paste that. Good. Let's come out of this before we get lost in there. First thing I want to do is bring the volume of that track down because it's too high. I think 45% will probably sound about right. I'm going to pitch this one up slightly. So track, note, function, track menu. Let's pitch this one up to D5. D5. There you go. That's our original snare. This is our new one. Let's punch in a pattern for our new snare filler. This one's a bit involved, but I do like it. So, number 3, we're gonna bring this, let's bring this down to about 75% volume, velocity, whatever you want to call it. 91% chance, because I love it. Okay, great. And now we can start copying and pasting this in. And we're going to have another one of those on 11. So 3 and 11. Let's bring in some new ones at 5, 7. Paste. But these ones in the middle, I don't want to sound so high. So I'm going to bring them down to 50%. And I'm also going to copy that, and I'm going to put one right next to it on 8. Let's put 2 either side of those. But these ones, I don't want so much chance of them hitting, so I'm going to bring them down to 33%. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it on 9. So we have this little rounded thing in my mind. Now I want to take one of the 50% volume snares and put it on number 2. But I do want it to play not on a percentage chance, but here we're going to get polyrhythmic, and we're going to do it 1 out of every 3 times that it goes through. I'm not a mathematician, but there's something interesting about that. Let's do the same on 14, but let's bring the conditions up to 2 and 2. And I'm going to copy and put the same one on 15. And finally, number 16, we're going to punch in, but we're just going to give it a 4 out of 4 so that it plays right at the end of every for loop. Let's have a look at what that sounds like. Yeah, great. So that's the snare filler done. We've got our snare hi-hats also. So now we can jam. That's it. That's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you've learned something from it. Let me know if you've got any questions. Thank you very much for watching, and have fun.